Well, we do know that Whiteside did put up some great numbers. It is a bit of surprising that he isn't a little bit higher. It's pretty telling about the talent ahead of him, though.
Yeah, I guess
Alex,
just before you even continue, it's almost funny because I feel like going into this and everyone feels like center's weak, but I feel like when you
it's
actually look,
deep.
it's very deep. There's a lot of good players at center.
It's very surprising. Players like DeAndre Jordan and Marcus All aren't even top 25 anymore. It's
Exactly.
very, very surprising for sure.
And like you said, even some of the guys who are mentioned aren't even top 10. It's crazy.
JP, Aldridge, Harrell, Capella.
Imagine
Capella goes 14 and 14. He's barely top 15.
imagine a point guard putting up a double-double and not making the top 25. That would be crazy.
It's funny because a lot of the players that are in our top 10, some of them don't even average 10 rebounds per game.
No, but
But
you're so good at a couple things. I mean, I guess it justifies you a top 9
you get,
spot, right?
you
So
get the job spot.
exactly.
But again, top number 9 right now, we do have someone that gets much more than 9 rebounds per game. Andre Drummond. He's been a rebound leader. He was very well worthy of his max contract got a couple years ago. And then he was eventually traded for sack of potatoes.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a guy personally who I even had a spot higher. I had him at number 8. It's a guy very similar to Hassan Whiteside because I feel like they play so much around the rim. They're almost undervalued. But I mean, the numbers every year always there for Andre Drummond, and I feel like every year come All-Star time, he just misses it, and it always seems like a robbery. I'm not sure why, but it's almost like Al Jefferson and guys like that, Carlos Boozer back in the day, where the great players they put it up, they just don't get the full respect.
Respected. But is he really a good fit with Kevin Love? That's the tough one.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not anything worse than Tristan Thompson. I mean, that team wasn't great to begin with. They haven't been a playoff team without LeBron James, so we can't say that's a good fit because they didn't put up wins and losses. But clearly they gave up on Tristan Thompson because they felt like Andre Drummond was just an upgrade, and they're obviously going to get to just put Love back into that position opposed to having to cycle through the 3 of them. So I feel like you're actually pretty comfortable with that. Kevin Love, obviously, when LeBron and Kyrie was there, I think he talked about it even recently in an interview how he really did have to change his game. And it was hard because he played professional basketball the same way for 25 years, where he would start the game in the post at the rim, get a couple easy buckets, and make his way out, versus he would LeBron and Kyrie, he was immediately starting the game in the corner 3. And I feel like that's how it's probably going to be when Drummond's there too. And I think the Love's used to it now. So I do think it's okay.
My issue with that is with Love and Drummond, that team's still not a playoff team. With that being said, Drummond still is a great player. With them fitting in properly, he'll probably get 18 and 12, 18 and 13 next year. He puts up the numbers. He gets those rebounds per game. He's that hustle guy. I can't picture him staying in Cleveland long term. I think that they're going to try to flip him at the end of the season because he's going to be on an expiring contract. But we also think the same with Kevin Love. That clearly hasn't happened yet. So I don't know if he's going to play competitive basketball in the next couple years, but he'll put up the numbers on that Cleveland team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess the thing for Andre Drummond is he himself, I feel like, thinks he's the best center in the league. But unless he's a guy who's going to put up 24 in the rebounds he does a game, he really can't establish himself any higher than he is. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the well-rounded offensive game. I mean, he's never been able to stretch the floor. He still struggles, as much as I've said about other centers, but from the free throw line, he just finds himself in a higher spot than a lot of these other centers, A, because of the amount of years he's been this consistent, and B, because he is just such a ball hawk around the rim.
He eats those rebounds.
He does.
He's probably him and Whiteside are definitely the best.
Not just rebounds too, blocks too. It's just Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, Anthony Davis, and then Miles Turner sometimes finds himself in the mix. I mean, he's 1 and he's 4th, but at the end of the day, those 3 guys you can bank on every year to be in the top 5 for blocks, essentially.
Completely.
I mean,
that's why he makes it in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's been Defensive Player of the Year as well, Andre Drummond, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I with those numbers that he puts up, he could easily be in the top 5. But with that being said, he hasn't been on the winning team since in his whole career at this point. If he ever does go into a winning team and he puts up those same numbers and they're in that top 4 position in the playoffs, then he could put himself in the top 5. But until he gets onto that winning team, he is what he is at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing to say. I mean, a guy we haven't seen yet like Rudy Gobert is a great thing because I think Rudy Gobert puts up a bit less in every category and very similar to Andre Drummond, the things he could do when he does find himself on a winning team. And as mentioned, we haven't heard his name yet. So we'll see where he falls on this list as well.
I assume Rudy Gobert makes it into the top 8. Maybe he would be, maybe he missed out. I don't know. Well, let's see. Over at number 8, though, just past Andre Drummond,